It won't, it won't be shared outside of this group that's registered, just so that we're being really clear. So we wanted to both start by spending some time to acknowledge the lands that we're both coming from. You are welcome to do that in the chat box if you would like to. I'm in Brisbane, and I want to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land of Brisbane, which is the place of the blue water lily. It's the land of the Turrbal tribe, and they are the original inhabitants of Brisbane. And I pay my deepest respects to their elders past, present and emerging, but also honour the connection to the land, the waterways and the animals. And I want to also pay respects to my dear Indigenous Aboriginal friends and Torres Strait Islander colleagues, and thank them for trusting me to share their knowledge and experiences that they have shared with me. I'll hand over to you, Cynthia.
Yeah, I'd like to do the same. I'm coming in from the Sunshine Coast, so I'd like to acknowledge the Gubbi Gubbi country and the people on these lands and waters that have played such an important role in being the custodians that they are. And I hope that what we continue to do in this project actually is in keeping with the spirit of what they have paved the way for.
Thanks, Cynthia. All right, so let's go to what we're going to talk about today. So what we're going to work through is a little bit about Cynthia and I. We won't spend long periods of time on that, but we will give you a bit of context as to how this has actually started and where it's come from the two of us. Our mission and vision for this group and the purpose behind it, some identity around the core values and what we're looking for to hopefully be able to create a community of practice that's really enriched and feeling like they're getting a lot out of it. Then we're going to talk about our community and what that's going to look like in the project, the aspirations that we have, and then opportunity for any questions and also next steps. So how you can officially register. So this information session, after you'll get an official registration, we'll talk about that at the end. So a little bit about me. There are obviously, as people saw, there's some people online who do know me, but for those who haven't met me before, my name's Carrie Rose. I'm a early childhood teacher and have had 30 plus years in early childhood space as a pedagogy consultant, approved provider. I'm a pracademic, so I really love to read a lot and listen and learn a lot about contemporary research that's happening. But my jam is about finding ways to actually implement that on the ground with those educators of all levels. So I get really excited about new work, new readings, new learnings, and then trying to find ways that could actually be implemented in service. Cynthia, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Carrie. Yeah, so I started out in playgroups. I ran a playgroup from home a long time ago when my children were really little. That led to a transition to school program, which I designed because children that were joining my playgroup were also starting school, so trying to ensure that they kind of had that smooth transition. Then that led to some early childhood teaching. I got qualified, worked as an early childhood teacher in an amazing centre in Australia. And that kind of led me towards thinking about research. I really wanted to find out more and do some studies. So went back to studying, got my PhD, and that kind of led to working alongside a national charity, and that was fabulous to kind of support them in creating child participation strategies. So that's my research focus. And now I've landed at the University of the Sunshine Coast. But because of, I guess, the nature of the work, I really miss working alongside children and working alongside people who are on the ground. So I'm hoping that this project is going to be something where we can sort of work on really exciting projects together. So thank you for joining.
And so just a little bit of background. Cynthia and I have only known each other since the ECA conference in October. And we were both presenting in the same can't remember what they call, flash session or something, whatever they called them, where there was multiple presenters and we were both presenting. And we got chatting and then ran into each other again later in the conference. And as you do at conferences, said, yep, let's keep connected. Let's talk about this further. And I'd have to say this is probably one of the first times that's actually transpired into action. So I'm really excited. And this has kind of been born from a number of conversations since ECA, hasn't it, Cynthia?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm really excited to have a partner in crime.
Yeah. So we've been super excited, and I think this has been a passion of mine to get a form of a community of practice up and running, but have been looking for sort of the right facilitator to do that with me. And I think for Cynthia, this is a little bit similar in her sense. So I think because we're coming from, those different perspectives, we're going to be able to provide some really good insight and drive the group in a good direction. Fingers crossed. That's the plan anyway, folks. I'll hand over to Cynthia.
Yeah, so that leads to, I guess, our vision in terms of why are we wanting to do this and what have we got in mind? So it's really to around creating that supportive community of professionals and particularly targeting people that work with we have to go back one. Yep, infants and young children. So we've specifically said it's a community of professionals because I think that language is really important. We're not just looking at educators, but people who are working with children that really want to deepen their understanding around children's participation rights. And that comes from Article 12. So hopefully that's something that resonates for you. And if so, then we'd really love you to join the party.
So the stuff that's really keeping us grounded, I guess, is that and what the core values of this group will be. And one of the very long conversations that Cynthia and I had when we were constructing the idea together was, what's going to be the most critical part of this group, and then how do we make that really transparent at the information session so people can make a very informed choice as to whether this is the type of group that you want to be in or not. And so we kind of came up with a couple of, I guess, underpinning values, things that what we would want is that these would be things that you're really interested in or that you align with or that you can commit to. As I said, as a way of being really transparent about what we're looking for to make this group super successful. We don't mind if it's a group of 10 or it's a group of 10,000. It's more about the connections that are being made. And so the first one is very much around the intent to engage in those professional collaborations and using that about as a reflective tool for that future practice. But I guess the commitment we're looking for there is that people actually attend with the intent to engage in different conversations and reflective discussions and talk with people about what they might be doing or what some of their thinking has been, whatever the topic or the area that we might be exploring on that particular meeting is. We really are looking for people and think that it's really important to have that mindset of curiosity and wonder about what do other people do, and so it's this is not about this community of professionals and practices for us, not about people sharing something and the same people sharing every week. It's actually about everybody sharing different practices and talking them through, and that there's a real belief that everybody has got something to contribute. So that real value sense around what everybody's got and what they're bringing to the party. I think, obviously we would be looking for that commitment to acknowledge, support, and obviously advocate that, regardless of age, children are able to have a voice. And I guess one of my real my real passions around the work in children's voice is around children under 3 who may not have oral language, because that word voice, and that's something that Cynthia and I have talked a lot about, and we feel will be a great starting conversation even for the group. What is voice and what does that look like? Because it's not about just that oral, words and conversation. It's a whole range of other things. And so trying to find, I guess, these great talking points and opportunities, but belief and commitment that children under 3 also have got voice and also need to be advocated for. And lastly, that you are willing and really interested in being an active contributor to the growth and learning of others. So, it's not about sort of attending and then, sitting silent and not really participating. It's about being a part of the group and actually bringing things to the group and talking about things to the group. And it's not about, as I said, it's not about having something, if you're feeling a little bit like, well, I don't know what I would bring to the group. This is about little things, the smallest things. So we want you to just keep that in mind as well. But these are some of the core things that we'll be expecting, I guess, from our participants and part of the group, because that's what we'll bring. And we're wanting everybody to also bring that as well. Cynthia, did you want to add anything else to that?
Not really. I think I'm going to touch on what you've spoken about in terms of that small thing in the next
one.
slide.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that, and we're really keen for you guys to share the registration link when it comes to you. We're interested in having professionals of all kinds to join this group. So OTs, First Nations perspectives, English as a second language, nurses, so if you've got connections that you feel like would be a really great opportunity for them to join this group as well, we really are hoping for diversifying over time so that we're getting some really different and interesting perspectives to make us all think differently about how we're doing things and what else can we do and what are other perspectives that we could maybe shine on this particular moment or this particular example that we've brought forward.
Yeah, I found this quote which comes from Japan, and I really wanted to include it in our presentation because I think it captured what Carrie was talking about there with regards to those small things. And it's those small things we don't know, what perspective anyone else has, but something that you might offer to the rest of the group might sort of really strike a chord with somebody else, and we just don't know what that might be. So please feel that this is a safe space where we can all kind of grow together. There is no one sort of like, it's not a space where we want to sort of inhibit anybody from contributing. So hopefully this provides an idea of, pretty much where we're coming from and the values that we have. Carrie?
And I guess just flowing on from that, the concept of children being seen and heard for us, it's just as much about advocating educators being seen and heard as well. And I think we're all getting much better at that advocacy for both children and ourselves though. And so we sort of talked about that openness to otherness. So being really open to the fact that there are these other things that are out there, but we also want to make sure that people are not feeling judged, that people feel that they can participate with confidence. And Dr. Brown talks about connection is the energy that is created between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, and when they can give and receive without judgment. So what we want to, I guess, give you a little test run and taster about what the sessions when we move forward would look like is we're going to actually break you into some very small groups. And where I'm going to pause, I'll just pause it now, pause the recording. And we're going to ask you to just share who you are and your context. And if you were to join this group, what would you like to, what would be something you'd like the group to achieve? So what would be some of your expected outcomes if you were going to, provide your time? What would you be looking for? But secondly, what can you contribute to the community? So what do you think you might bring and share that with your participants? So I'm going to break you into groups of 3. And
Carrie, do you want to warn people how long they'll have to?
Yes. So we are looking at 3 people, about 9 minutes. So everybody will have around about 3 minutes each to talk. So this will be, really important to, I guess, make sure that we're sharing our time with everyone. ask each other questions. And then when you all come back, we will ask a couple of groups if they're really happy to share some of the key things that you were talking about and what was really exciting about those things that you were chatting about. Anything else you want to add to that one, Cynthia?
No, but if anyone's got questions, you can just flick that into the chat and we'll address them as well.
Yeah,
Thanks,
for
Karen.
sure. All right, so I'll send you off now and we'll see you all back here in about 10 minutes. Zoom. So let us tell you a little bit about kind of the structure or the more logistics around this. Is the membership is about early childhood professionals. As we said, we're really hoping to have some diversity, but the format of the community will be meeting every 6 to 7 weeks for 1.5 hours, and we've set the time of 4 to 5:30. There'll be 7 meetings over the year. The hope is that that time is a time that people will be able to, if they are working with children, might be able to do an earlier shift and finish if they have to, or might be able to tail end their shift, being able to log in. We want to hear from members on that shared practice and the children's work. We will have be sending out guiding questions for members to consider prior to the session. So the idea will be, it won't be rigid, but we will have like a focus topic or area that we want to kind of really hone in on. It might feature a little maybe mini guest speaker, but you will have time to think about what it is that you're going to bring to the meeting, so that we can really make that hour and a half enriching for everybody. I think one of the things, and in Marion and Karen and Holly's group that I jumped into, they were talking about some really valid points around time and people not having time to actually talk to each other and time to discuss practice and time to, but I think the other part of time is we have to remember that both educators and children, but in this case, you need time to actually reflect and think about what is it that you're going to bring as a contribution, because we only have 90 minutes. And so we want everybody to have that opportunity to participate. So you need to be very clear about what it is that you're bringing, and not, feeling like you've got to think on the spot, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. We want the conversations to be rich and robust through that kind of idea of Q&A and that curiosity of questioning. And what we will be doing is actually using, I might just, Cynthia, I'll just show them the mind map little tool thing that
Sure.
has introduced to me, which I now love. Another thing that I'm going to add to my forte of cleverness of, because this makes you look clever, which is why I like it. So this is a little it's a what's the thing called?
It's called Mural.
Mural. Okay, thank you. And you can see here. So basically what we'll be looking at doing is creating the artifacts that you were talking about, Claire, and Marion, creating artifacts. And so we might just put our ideas, and then over here we got, you know, and we'll be putting it, so it sort of works like that. And then essentially you can download it and stuff. But the idea will be to definitely be collecting ideas, collecting conversations, collecting the reflections that people are having through different ways, and then coming together in the last few sessions to have a think about what have been some of the real key things that the group has talked about, or what are the key things that are standing out, and what do we want to do with that information. So yes, for those who are interested in the idea of collating and putting something together, that is also something that Cynthia and I feel really excited about as well, and we would really love to do that. And I guess it's about then finding the platforms to share, and that's why the diversity is so important to us, because then we have this opportunity to share it out to many, many different types of people who are working with children in the early years. So the networking sessions there'll be recorded elements of it, and you will be able to actually rewatch those. We're just thinking about the finer tunes parts of this, but we think what will happen is the community will have maybe an online hub as we move down the track a little bit, that you'll be able to just log into and access previous meetings and ideas and things like that. That's not set up yet, but we're just going to sort of see how we flow with the group so far. And then I guess one of the first things that we'll be putting together is a shared design base around what our aspirations are for the group. So Cynthia and I obviously have talked quite a lot about why we want to do this and what this is about. And I guess if we put together our three aspirations from our perspective initially is we want to create a platform for that professional sharing to capture those strategies and concepts, showcasing how early childhood professionals are embedding the voice into their daily work, buying that time for you. So, giving you an hour and a half of time that's, professional dialogue once every 7 weeks as a minimum. If you can't do anything else in that time, you've got that one time to kind of do it. We definitely, as I said, want to collect rich data and the practicalities and look at how we share those. And that will be a whole group decision and collaboration. And I guess our big goal or our big aspiration is that this strong network of professionals both grows, but has longevity. And so this isn't just 1 year project. We're really hopeful that this would be an ongoing kind of project that people are coming into and joining and growing and learning. And, we're just constantly kind of getting new participants coming in and their perspectives, so that this is something that has some longevity to it, and I guess has some teeth to it as well. So we've just got opportunity here for questions. I'll just give you the where to from here, just because these might be some of your questions. What will happen after this session today, you will receive an email. It will talk to you about it'll have a link on it, and that will be the formal registration. So it's it's a form to fill out and just answers some more questions for us. So it's the first part of collecting data that we're starting with you. Who are you? What's your qualifications? Where do you work? What age groups? Those sorts of things. You're not obligated to register at all. So please don't feel like, you'll be spammed after this because you've linked into this. But only people who have registered will get the information moving forward. So just so you know. You can register at any time as well. So if you're not quite sure and you want to sit on it for a few months, you can, and then you can go back to the link and register again. We'll be continuing to advertise the group on different Facebook groups and in different places for people to continue to join as well anyway. So please feel free to not feel obligated to join straight away. Our first meeting, though, that we've got scheduled, and we have scheduled all the meetings. So when you join, you'll start to get some information about when all the meetings are going to be, the links for those meetings, so you'll be able to plan ahead. But the first one's going to be on the 19th of February. So what we might do is I might open up if anyone's got any questions for us. Just unmute yourself, or anything you want to know more about before you go.
Carrie, do you want to keep recording this?
Oh, no, I'll stop now. Good work. Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks.
I might be the only person, but I'm not sure that I'll be